All right. Perfect. It's 11:01 Pacific in the beautiful sunny Pacific Northwest. So we're ready to go. Do you have snow over there, Nicole?
We do. We have a little bit of snow, just a little, but it is freezing this week. Like our temperatures at night are going into the teens, like every night.
I heard it might even be zero soon.
Yeah. Yeah, that's this weekend. I think it'll be a low of 9 and a high of 17,
Yeah.
which is not normal for New Jersey.
No, no. And same here. We don't usually have sun. So that's one other topic. So thank you so much, Nicole. And one of the things that I love to do when I introduce people's, sometimes we'll read all the wonderful bios, and I think you all are going to see just how magical Nicole is. But I always like to kind of really talk about how I know you or how I've come to know you, because that feels more connecting than reading off all your accolades, which are certainly important too. But I giggle because Nicole had sent out an email to some of her group and had actually said something about me being a bigger sister. And I'm giggling because neither of us have the same hair color, which is more like
We
salon.
did.
Yeah,
We did when I went through the training.
yeah, I'm giggling now. We've toned it down a little. But that's okay. We're still our whole and authentic selves. But one of the things that has always stood out about you is, you are an avid learner, and I was thinking about it as a very process improvement junkie. And so it's just been such a pleasure seeing you develop your Red Zen method since when I first met you, and really become that instrument of change for the people that you serve. And I love that because even though we'll talk about it a little bit later, our trajectories have kind of gone in similar directions. You've really done a beautiful job of working with the whole person and serving a population that when they shine their light makes the world a better place too. So
Thank you.
teacher, coach, author, speaker, smiley, happy woman, lovely. So
Mama.
So I know your story, or I know some of your story. I think there's always more to tell, but would you be so kind to maybe share a little bit of kind of your trajectory, how you got into coaching and kind of, you know, bring everybody up to date? We've got a mix here of coaches that are in training, coaches that are prospective, people that are clients. So I think sometimes it's helpful to kind of know where did you come from? And then we'll,
Yeah, I'll try to make it a short version because this one can get super long. But the short version is that I was a musical theater performer and really thought that that was where my life was. My life was always going to be in performance, the stage, film, something like that. And then I basically lost everything in my life. It was over the span of 13 months, pretty much in 2013. It's actually the whole thing I wrote my book about. But what happened was I lost everything. It began with a divorce. Then I was in 2 car accidents. I lost a dear friend to a heart attack and I was robbed. And what happened in this was really basically, and anyone who's going through coach training will really appreciate this, that my identity, basically the persona and everything that I had built up about who I thought I was, like in a box, this is it. Permanency went up in flames. And I had a voice that came up inside me that said, you need meditation. And that was the beginning of me starting to hear what I call the voice of your confidence. And I followed that thread. And that thread took me quite surprisingly to Buddhism. And I went through this period of time trying all these different forms of meditation until I landed with Zen. And the Zen form of meditation is called Zazen. It's probably the most austere, I'll be honestly, like everything is just like stripped away. And yet this felt like home in my body. So even though I was going through radical loss, I mean, um, an astrologer told me later that it was my eclipse year. And that's pretty much the best way to describe it. It was pretty much everything just burned. But here in the ashes, was being given, in following the voice of my confidence, the tool that could allow me to meet all of these massive losses and actually end up rebuilding my life. So after I lost everything, I came into 2014 and I actually had this feeling of hope. Like, yeah, I was 38, single. I really had a deep desire to have a family, to be married again. And I just felt like I have something inside me that can be used. And so I hired a life coach. And that life coach took me on quite a journey. And meanwhile, I ended up having this complete resurgence in my performance career. And this was after 19 years in the business. So suddenly, directors and choreographers that had never paid attention to me were like, Nikol. And it wasn't just that, it was also that I felt different. It wasn't so much about putting on an act or a persona because that had all been stripped away. That was all in in the dumpster fire. Um, and and I was finding that I could actually go in and just be me and be in service to the story, and the material is very different than how I was before. And so I had this total resurgence, and my life coach was like, I think you should start a blog. And I had loved writing as a child, and I was like, yeah, let's do that. So I started this blog. I'm having this resurgence, all this stuff. And then she said, you should monetize it. And I was literally like, I don't even know what you're talking about. And so she started teaching me how to do that. And I realized through the process, oh my gosh, I want to teach about this transformation. I want to do what you're doing. And this was a complete shock to me. Like, please no, I really didn't, this wasn't what I pictured, but it was actually the truth in me coming out. And so when I knew that I wanted to be a coach, I was very clear that I wanted to be certified. This was 2014, and the coaching industry, Ferocious will tell you, was like really starting to take off. But there was also a lot of people that were just like hanging up a sign and saying, I'm a coach. And there was just something in me that was like, no, I really feel like I want to know what I'm doing. I want to have some skill, especially because I was now a Zen practitioner. I wanted to bring that skillfulness that they always talk about in the Zen tradition to this work. And so I started looking, and when I found Ferocia and I found coach training work, and she's talking about a whole person, and I had just been through this radical spiritual transformation where I learned that I was whole and complete as I was, no matter what, no matter everything I had been through. I was like, this is it. So I dived in with Ferocia, and literally at that time, guys, we really did have the exact same hair color. We wore glasses that looked the same. I was like, oh my gosh, this is meant to be. And the training was just magical for me. It was so helpful. And it was because of that, I then went into a program to learn how to launch a coaching business from scratch. And the combination of ferocious training and learning how to build a business allowed me to build a business that here I am 11 years later. And so I have great gratitude to Ferocia because the way that she taught coaching and the whole person modality really helped me to discover myself and discover how what I wanted to do in the world. So there we are.
I loved hearing that.
It's a love letter to you, Ferocia. It really is.
Well, not so much about me, but just there's always something fascinating what calls people to kind of step into their whole self. And I'm just going to ask if you're not, you just joined the call. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. If you're off mute, please mute yourself just because I'm getting a lot of feedback. But really, what you talked about was really stepping into becoming a whole person and also creating work, which I know is what we're going to talk about today, of addressing the mind, the body, the heart, the spirit, and even the social aspects of those multiple dimensions, and even though you went through so much pain and struggle and that shedding of the ego and letting go. Yeah. I mean, just knowing that about you, and how you had originally had the Red Zen method when I met you, I'd love to learn, like, how did that change how you were helping people from zero?
Oh, things, things. I mean, and here I am 11 years later, and since that initial, what I call a 13, which is a divine storm, I then went through another one, which I've just come out of, which was a 6-year journey with chronic pain. And so I had headaches every day for 6 years. And the middle of all this happening was an infertility journey, miscarriage, uh, failed IVF, a failed adoption, and then actually becoming a first-time mother at the tender age of 47 through adoption. And so there was this, what I went through in 2013, which was there was a lot of loss and a lot of growth that came out of it. But then this health journey, I feel like it just like, it put me in the mud more than I thought I could be in the mud, I'll be honest. And it opened up, the healing side of things. And that then really changed for me because there was always the spiritual aspect, there was always the wholeness. And when I first began my business, it was so much more about artists. But as I went through my own healing journey, it became much more about healing. So like things now were like all coming together, this idea of, creating impact from a healed place, from a true confidence that is holistic. So it's changed radically. And becoming a mom, I mean, my daughter just celebrated her third birthday on Sunday, 4 days ago, for anybody who's watching the recording. And becoming a mother has been a portal that I'm like, it was like a whole nother level. So it's like with each thing that I go through, I just see how it's calling me forward to really be, at least in my ancestral line, the change. Like I really feel so much is ending with me. So let me tell you, that's a lot. And it just keeps coming to me that this is for the teaching, that it just keeps bringing me into deeper, deeper understanding and deeper empathy so that at this point, I'm literally like, I've experienced that. I've experienced that.
Yeah,
Uh-huh. Yep, 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 which helps so much with just a greater understanding. So yeah, the ZenRed method at this point is now incredibly rich and diverse because in my healing journey, I then ended up finding energy medicine and neurosomatic intelligence. So there is just this talk about the whole person. It's like I feel like I can speak to that now because of these journeys that I have been through.
absolutely. And what I appreciate is a lot of times, you know, clearly we can't have all of the shared experiences of the people that we work with. They're going to have something, like I don't have kids, I have fur babies. So those cards were never going to be it for me. But being able to be in those immersive experience is one thing, but being transformed and feeling and living in that uncertainty and the discomfort and the emergence that is possible, I think really gives you that angle, to be able to understand and be able to be an empathetic presence and be adaptive with someone because what that I always think about the butterfly, we're disintegrating and then we're going to create something new. But maybe I've had a life experience, but maybe I did transform. And what I'm hearing is you did.
Yeah.
To make
Yeah. And so as a coach, it really puts me in a beautiful spot of always, always having faith in their capability. I never question that. I'm like, you're human, you can change. And then this is backed by neuroscience with neuroplasticity. Literally at any age, you can create a new neural pathway. So there was the beginning education with Zen to be like, oh, change is constant. It's not permanency. Permanency is is suffering. But change is constant. And then to have it backed by neuroscience, I was like, well, that's great.
yeah, yeah. What I appreciate, and I've mentioned this to you a little bit earlier, is when I think about whole person, a lot of people will go like, "Oh, I'm going to work with the body." or I'm going to work with the mind. I'm going to work with emotions, and then some dabble with the spirit, because that feels, ooh, maybe clients will like it, maybe clients won't. But from what I know of you and the work you do, you're fully embracing that. And so I'd love to kind of maybe tap into a little bit of maybe I'd like to hear, like, if someone was to come to you, like maybe share a case study. And that, I think sometimes the story makes more sense than the date of how it happens, if that sounds okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I have to say that me stepping into putting the spirituality more into the spotlight has been a process. And that I feel like at first I kind of came out of the gate like, yeah, Zen. And then I think I got a little scared and backed off, especially when I was like really deep in my group program that was helping artists to go full time. And I kind of backed off of it. And I remember I worked with a business coach for quite a while. And she was like, "You're hiding the carrot." And I was getting scared to really say I'm a spiritual teacher, like to actually own it. And so it was very helpful for me to write my book and to go through that process because I had zero writer's block. And the book is really, really, really spiritual. It's like super duper spiritual. I mean, it was like number one in numerology. Um, and and so I think that helped me to be like, okay. And so it's it's I don't know if I'm fully answering your question, so keep me on track. But oh, a case study, that's right. What I was going to say is that I just trust, and this keeps happening, even when had marketing that was much more results based.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Um, then they would just be talking about the spirit in whichever way it was right for them, whether it was God, the universe. I've worked with people in all forms of faith. But I kept going, wow, there is this continuing thread of these people that come to me that faith is a vital part. So, case study. Um, well, the one that's coming to me is I had this beautiful, she was a 20 something at the time. Her name was Maddie Joe, and she actually was a performer and she had gone to school for musical theater. Okay, spent all this time and energy, right? She comes to New York and she doesn't work. She's not getting work. She's not getting work. She's not getting work. And she finally gets a musical theater gig and she hates it. So now she's like, what am I doing with my life? And she talked to me. And turned out she had this little blog. And I read it and I was like, you're a really good writer. Let's talk about this. And let's talk about what you actually want to be doing with your performing. And it turned out that she really didn't want to do musical theater. It's like she got in and it's like she wanted to be performing, but not that. And she really wanted to be doing on camera. And she really wanted to be writing. And so she went through my ZenRed method to be able to come in touch with her confidence. But she was also like highly spiritual. And her best-selling book was actually all about deconstruction of purity culture. Really hot topic. Um, and she was like, okay, now that I have clarity about where I'm going, she ended up like filling her resume. I couldn't even believe how quick it happened. It was like once the light was on, and she had the tools. And then she filled up her resume with all this on camera work. She put energy into the blog, energy into her writing and ended up growing this huge fan base, which then helped her when she decided to take this and turn it into a pilot and turn it into a best-selling book. And this book is now turning into, it's really opened up a lot of doors for her. And for her to be like, oh, like it was there all along, but there was, it is like a faith, like the way that I define confidence. I don't know anyone else that defines it this way. It's like I think about when I've gone through all these programs and they're like, look at your competitors. And I'm like, I don't see anyone teaching confidence through a spiritual lens. And if there's someone out there, let me know. I'd love to see how they're doing it. But I just was like, okay, so I've got to like figure it out for myself. And so for the way that I teach it that confidence is the voice of your wholeness, meaning it is your internal guide, it is your true north. Now, in order to hear your true north, not your amygdala, that means you've got to be regulated because your nervous system governs your confidence. So first it is the voice, your internal voice, your true north, okay? Your inner light, your inner wisdom, your inner divine, however you want to do it. The other is that it is the power and the wisdom of the universe within you. Because so within, so without, we are literally made up of the universe. We are the exact, like chemically, biologically, we are the same. But when we separate ourselves from the fact that we are star stuff, we suffer. When we think we're small, right? We get into the small self as opposed to the expanded self. And then the last part is that confidence is the fuel for your desires, basically what you want to create in your life, which you can create anything when you tap into all these things, then to know that the confidence is that juice. It's that yummy energy and everything that is basically creating the ability to then do scary things. Did I answer that, Ferosha?
You did. And I'm almost feeling like now would be a good time to maybe take someone through the experience.
Yes, I would
Well,
love that.
that sounds good. And so I'm gonna go ahead and back away from being on the camera for a moment so that you can take the show and then I'll come back whenever you're ready.
Okay, wonderful. Okay.
Super excited about this.
So I didn't have Ferosha put this out, but what I'm gonna ask is if everyone can grab either something soft. It can either be a soft cloth, a washcloth, it could be your sock. It can be anything, but go ahead and just grab something, just grab something soft, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to, and I'll keep an eye on the time. What I'm first going to do is teach you how to assess your nervous system to know when you are regulated. Then I'm going to teach you a tool to regulate you. And then we're going to go into this sort of expansive spiritual aspect so that we've got a whole experience. So, did you know that if your nervous system is regulated, and we'll say, meaning you are in your power, okay? You are able to access your confidence, the divine self within, you have an increased range of motion. It's kind of that simple. If you have a decreased range of motion, it means you can't. It means that you're in the amygdala. It means you're dysregulated. Tension is the biofeedback that your nervous system is on alert. So when I went through my certification in neurosomatic intelligence last year, why I feel like this is a game changer is because it actually has an assessment tool. How many of you have gone through something where they've said, do this meditation, do this breath work, do this, I don't know, do this movement. And they make this promise for peace, ease, inspiration. And you do it and you're like, well, that didn't work. And then what happens is it turns into you might feel something's wrong with you. When the fact is that your nervous system is unique. So really the journey becomes about learning what tools work for you. And the way that you can do that is by assessing so that you literally get biofeedback right away. So what's an assessment? There's 3 simple assessments that you can do. And these are just range of motion. The first one is just checking in on your neck range of motion, meaning that, and you're not making anything hard, but just like how far can I move my neck left to right? And just taking in, in the room, what you see. So I'm seeing like the edge of the picture frame on this one side, and I'm seeing a plant in my office on the other. Okay. Another thing that you can assess is your trunk rotation. So I'm sitting right now. Let me move this back a little bit. But it could be as simple as like literally seeing how much you can rotate your trunk. Now, if you have spinal issues, don't do this one. This is if like, and I like to put my hands here in gasho because then it allows me to just rotate the trunk. Okay. And I see someone's got their hand raised. Um, Kathy, if it's can you put it in the chat, whatever your question is? Okay. And then the third thing you can do is your shoulder range of motion. Now, again, if you have any sort of shoulder issues, don't do this. Pick the one that's right for you. But what you'll want to do, and I'm going to be a little bit on the side, is I've got my shoulder out at a right angle. Okay, so I'm making a right and a right here. And all I'm doing is seeing how far down my hand can go with nothing else moving. Okay, I'm not doing this. I'm not bringing my shoulder forward. I'm just bringing this down, okay? So these are the three things that you can do. And I just want to check to see if Kathy wrote, okay. Okay, Kathy didn't put I saw your hand raised, Kathy, so I didn't know if you had a question, but you can stick it in the chat. Okay. Okay, so go ahead and take an assessment. And then what I want you to do is to take your claw and or whatever it is that you have. And I want you to close your eyes and I want you to start rubbing your hands. Now, as you're rubbing your hands with this cloth, and this can be like whatever feels good for you. It can be like a really good massage, getting in there. It could be light and gentle, whatever feels good for you today. But as you are massaging this, I want you to see your hand in your mind's eye so that you're literally saying, oh, there's my thumb. There's my first finger, my middle finger. There's my palm. There's my top of my hand. And you're just really giving that a good rub. There's my wrist. Ah, and you might find you sigh or burp. This is all good. It's energy moving. But yeah, just that you're seeing in your mind's eye your hand. And then take a moment and place both hands on your lap and just take in the difference between the two. Note any difference between the hand that you just rubbed and the hand that hasn't been stimulated yet. Now go ahead and grab your claw and go ahead and do the other again with your eyes closed, rubbing those fingers in between the fingers and saying in your mind's eye, there's my thumb, there's in between my fingers, there's the palm of my hand. Ooh, there's my wrist, there's the back of my hand, there's my knuckles. Really getting in there. Really seeing your hand in your mind's eye. This is bringing your proprioception online, which is the 3D map of your body. Very important. And then just go ahead and place your hands in your lap and just notice. Notice how your hands feel. Now gently open your eyes and reassess. So whatever assessment you took, just reassess. You know, whether it's the shoulder, whether it's the trunk. And did you have an increased range of motion? Can't see everybody. Oh, I'm seeing, oh, Jay's giving me a thumbs up. Ferocious says yes. All right, I'm seeing thumbs up. Okay, awesome. Yep. Janine. Hi, Janine. Aw. One of my former clients is on here. I love that. Okay, beautiful. Okay, Tara's got a heart. All right, awesome. So, if you had an increased range of motion, this means this is a good tool for you, meaning your nervous system regulates. It says yes. If you had no change, neutral, then it means you just need to do it for a little longer, okay? And maybe rub a little bit more. If you had a decreased range of motion, then it just means that there's something around your hands that is setting off a signal. So that just means that there's something there in your nervous system that is calling for rehabilitation. So it's good to know. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take that same thing and we're going to do it with our feet. So pick a foot, doesn't matter which one, and you're going to take your cloth. Here's my foot. And you're going to close your eyes and you're going to rub on the foot. And again, as you are rubbing on the foot, you are really saying in your mind's eye, there's my ankle. There's the ball of my foot. There's my heel. Ooh, there's in between my toes. Talk about a part of our foot that probably doesn't get much love. And if you have a part of your foot where you don't have as much sensation, maybe if there was a scar or if you have calluses or something like that, just spend a little extra time there. If you have a tattoo, just spend a little extra time there getting that rubbing in. And then bring your foot down and take a breath. And again, with the eyes closed, feel the difference between your two feet. What do you notice? We're now going as far away from the brain as we can. We're really grounding down. Now, grab your other foot, and again, with those eyes closed, rub and rub. And again, at whatever pressure feels good for you. Okay? Whether it's a deep massage or tickle, like whatever feels right for you today in this moment. Really giving that a nice massage. And again, in your mind's eye, saying, there's my foot. We're really bringing that proprioception, your body map online. We're also clearing up the signals from your feet all the way up to your brain. Okay, and then go ahead and place your foot down. And just again, notice. Notice. What sensation do you feel? Is there a color? Is there a temperature? Just take a moment to notice. And then gently open your eyes and reassess. Check that range of motion. Did your nervous system like having foot stimulus? Ferocious got a big heart. Jay is saying yay. Yep, Janine says. All right, Latoya is saying yes. Celia, yes. Oh, I'm seeing big hearts. Vonda. The temperature of the feet is very different, Lisa says. Transformation, right? At the nervous system level. Okay. Tara's got a heart. Beautiful. Okay. So now what I want to do, now that you are in your body, and Kathy, I did see what you said. You were trying to follow. Okay, hands were in prayer position. Okay, thank you for coming in and sharing that, Kathy. So now what I want to do, now that you guys are in the body and we've cleared up the body map, we started with the hands and we went down to the feet. Now I'm going to ask you to go ahead and close your eyes. Ah, and you can just let out a sigh. Ah. Yeah, this is really good for the vagus. Any sort of vocalization. Let's just do another sigh. Ah. All right. And I want you to take a moment and really feel your seat. Whatever you are sitting on, allow it to take the weight of your body. And just allow yourself to be supported. Finally. You can even imagine your hip bones widening. And gently stack your ribs on top of your hips, your shoulders on top of your ribs, and your head ever so gently on top of your spine. And now from here, imagine a warm, vibrant light shining down on you. And there might be a color or colors, just allow that. And allow this light to enter in through the top of the head, filling your scalp, your brain, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, your teeth, and your tongue. Allow this light to gently make its way down into the throat, coming into the sternum and then spilling out into the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, and the fingertips. Allow this light to make its way down into the heart space, the ribs, the lungs, all of your internal organs, gently and easily making its way down into the hips and the pelvis, filling the groin and easily flowing into the thighs, the knees, the shins, the calves, the ankle bones, and filling your feet from the heels to the balls to the toes. And then allow that light to exit out the balls of your feet and go down into the earth, as if you have roots that are going down, down into the earth, all the way down until it reaches fertile, fertile source energy, the energy of the earth. And then draw that up through the roots, draw that up through the feet, draw that up through the ankles, the knees, the thighs, up into the pelvis, and draw it all up to your heart. Now, imagine that you are breathing in and out of your heart, like your heart is a bellows, like your heart is lungs. And breathe in through the heart and expand the belly. And breathe out through the heart and feel a slight contraction. Breathing in through the heart and out. In and out. And feel as you are breathing in and out of the heart, become aware of the space that you are creating within your heart. With each breath, there is more and more space in your heart. Now allow that space to fill your whole body, so that as the breath begins at your heart, it's now as if your whole body is breathing. Expanding out, contracting in. Expanding out, contracting in. Rise and fall. And now bring your attention to the space around your body. And feel that space breathing too. It's as if the space around you is alive. And feel the space in front of you, behind you, on either side of you. And feel this dynamic, beautiful, endless space all around. And then bring your attention back to the heart and the space inside your body. And then the space outside your body. And then bring it to the space inside your heart. And then the space outside your body. Feel how there is no separation. You are the space. The space is in you. Now place your hands on your heart and just take a moment and connect to how you feel in this moment. Feel the expansion. Feel the space. And feel your heart. Feel how this is all beautifully connected. This wholeness. And then take your hands and rub them together. Create some friction. Start to feel your seat, maybe rock back and forth a little bit, saying, here I am. Here I am. Here's my seat. Here's my hands. And then with all that warmth on your hand, place your hand somewhere loving for you. Could be anywhere in your body that's just calling for a little extra hello. And just take in this moment and how you feel. And then gently and easily flutter your eyes open like a butterfly. And come back to the space in your very new, expanded, confident body.
You and I had to giggle. My dog came up and had a lot of Zen moment too. It was like, she was like, so it works on animals as well.
Oh, yes. All sentient beings.
Yeah. It's, I wanted to ask a quick question, then I'd like to open up to other questions. But something that my mind sparked a little bit around is, you talk about non-separate and how when we start to separate ourselves from all that is, all that we are together and shared experience, shared matter in many ways. And I thought about how many times I've done somatic work with boundaries of having someone to be able to, can I hold my space and be with you? And so my mind, I'm not even going to go there, but I just was like, oh my God, yeah. There's this whole paradox here of, being with and then being in and with and recognizing, that we're so interdependent.
Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, nonviolent communication was a huge help for me in my healing. I know that that's why I was able to find love again after my divorce, because it helped me learn how to uh, draw boundaries in a healthy way, using the ears of NVC and the ears of empathy, but to recognize that at the end of the day, we all have needs, we all have life energy. It's just that that person is saying yes to their need, or I'm saying yes to my need, which means that they're saying no to me, but that they're always saying yes to life. So when I put everything through the lens of how we are more the same than we are different, I actually feel it allows me to lay the boundaries and to recognize that as everyone has a unique nervous system, everyone has a unique path. And so to release someone else to their path and to honor mine, I feel like really comes into that. So that it feels like in that way, the separation, it's cared for. Do you know what I mean? Spiritually,
Yeah.
we're staying in the truth, but we're just going, at this point, our paths are diverging, but for reasons that I'm going to trust.
Yeah. Beautifully said.
Thank you.
So I'm wondering, and it would be incredibly helpful if you could raise your digital hand since we can't see everyone. If anybody has a question or two for Nikol, it'd be about anything.
Yeah.
Nikol, is that your hand up or is that a thumb up?
No, that was Tara giving a thumbs up. Oh, Tara. Oh, Tara. Okay.
Sarah, do you want to hop?
I couldn't find the right button. Sorry. Hey, over here. First, I want to thank you for all of that, and particularly sharing your personal story, because it just once again reaffirms for me that for every story that someone lives, someone needs to hear it for exactly the reasons you're sharing yours. And I'm also amazed at how, once again, I'm reminded that many of us get to the same place through different paths. Because as well, I did not walk anywhere near your footsteps. My own landed me here, and then you have the highs and the traumatic lows and the total loss and the personal discovery, and I even wrote a book, like, these things that are just so familiar, and finding Ferocia at just the right time for just the right reasons for all this stuff. So I think that's very validating in and of itself. And what I wanted to ask you is kind of where I'm at now. I sort of heard you reflect a little, which is I have found, especially recently, these little barriers that I have put upon me, likely out of fear, to being all that I know I am meant to be, to actually living that. Maybe it's bigger than I'm really ready for, especially since in the world I've already been too big for so many people. And so I've been working through that a lot. I'm banishing the fears, I'm releasing them. I've got a good path there, but I'm in the process. So for you, stepping into particularly that spirituality blend, where in a world where so many beliefs exist and being allowance of that, how how have you stepped through those, if assuming you had them, those personal barriers of you just, you know, because nobody else can block us. It's us, right? So there's
Yeah.
those final steps of really living and breathing and saying out loud who you are and what you do. What gave you that?
Oh, yeah. This is such an important question, because there's so much. I know Ferocious is going to be like nodding her head like crazy when I say this. There's so much toxic messaging out there, that is very like push through. And I will say, especially as a woman, the female nervous system is different. And we actually we are balancing three cycles. We are balancing a sympathetic parasympathetic cycle. Okay, we're balancing a circadian rhythm, right? When we're awake and when we're asleep, and we're balancing our um, our cycle, right? Our moon cycles, our 28 days. And so within that, there are times when our nervous system is like, go, right? Like, let's get it going with ovulation. Let's get it going with luteal. And then we come into late luteal, and when we're in menstruation, like we really should be in a red tent because that's what our nervous system is saying. And so, and then for men, their bodies are balancing circadian rhythm and sympathetic parasympathetic. So these are complex things. And so it's really important to understand that first and foremost, we have to regulate. We have to regulate before we go into any scary action. So we can have I know what I want. I want to be authentically expressed, right? I want to feel safe being all of me. And there is a conditioned part that was told I was too big, or who knows, right? There was some messaging, whether it's ancestral or in this lifetime, that your nervous system learned it's not safe. So it has to be rewired. So that means that you are in tune with your own signals, meaning knowing what is it when your nervous system is saying, right? The decreased range of motion is great. It's like a universal thing. But then when you're on this journey, and this is what I do with my clients, is to get to know what is it for you. For me, it was headaches. I get tension in the occipital ridge, and then I get tension here in the shoulders. And so it's like learning to know when
Yeah.
my nervous system is saying, take a break. So what I want to offer to you is this concept of a sandwich, that you do the regulation, what you know works for you, right? Not anybody else, for your nervous system. You start with that first. Then there is a small action that you feel this is okay, right? It honestly feels good. Like I can take this, and then you sandwich it with regulation again. What this is doing is this is creating new neural pathways and rewiring and helping to create that space around I can change. And so for the young part of you, however you look at it, if you're looking through a Jungian lens or a spiritual lens, essentially it's the very simple expansion. And I will say that the reason I had you guys go through the heart is because heart rate variability. I don't know if you're familiar with heart math or any of that, but when you
Yeah, I
have,
do heart math.
okay, cool. When you have heart brain coherence, you're good to go pretty much on anything. So having the regulation and having this coherence will allow you to make the decision of the small things, but always know that you need to be sandwiching with it on either side. Does that make sense,
Mm-hmm.
Tara? Okay.
You were talking about the sort of that. I think you were talking about that spiritual and science kind of matching. The neuroscience. And for me, heart math was that I had a very spiritual experience with my heart coherence cohesive receptor mechanism, and I googled that. What the heck is it? And I landed on heart math, and so which is all about coherence heart receptors. So anyway, that's just my little example of how those two things cross paths quite often. Thank you for that. I appreciate it, and I'll let anyone else go next. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tara.
Yep.
Great question. I know everyone on the call was like, I needed that, so thank you.
So Nicole, we've got Jay who's in queue. We've got about 4 minutes, and I just knowing that people might drop off. Do you want
Yeah.
to jump in a little bit about your book, and then we'll go to Jay if we bleed over a little bit on the hour?
Oh, sure, sure. Well, I'll just say that if anyone wants to know more about me, you can check everything out at NikolRogers.com. My book is there. You'll see it at the very top. It says 13 the book. But if this concept of a divine storm and transformation really rings true for you, if you've been through something and you'd like to understand how um, going through something really challenging can actually awaken you to create the life you want. That's really what this book is all about. And it is through a very spiritual lens, and it's using numerology, some very specific numbers to talk about the steps of transformation. And I really see it as like an invitation and an alchemy, so that when you are reading the pages, there's actually symbols within the book. So it literally is something that is working on you as you are reading the book to connect with that same alchemy within you, which we all possess. So, Janine, thank you for being here. It's so wonderful that you were here.
And I want to say it's a great book for those of you that are living in the northern hemisphere, where it's still winter and cold, to get that cup of cocoa or chai or whatever you drink, and just nestle up and you get really immersed in it. So
Thank you, Ferocia. Okay. I'm all ready, Jay. What's your question?
Sorry, taking notes. Yeah, I can really relate to the storm. That's kind of what I've been going through for the past 5 years. Some illness, some divorce, lost jobs, lost pets, so much just yeah. And now everything is starting to snap together in a really wonderful way. So I really feel like I've turned the corner. So, all this woo-woo spiritual stuff, I don't buy it, but I'm starting to buy it. So I was a little bit curious, like, is there, I've heard of Zen Buddhism and Buddhism. I've been meditating for years and years and years, really since high school. So it's been a minute. But is there a good entry point that you would recommend to dive deeper into Zen Buddhism? Is there a teacher, a book, a video?
Oh, great question. Oh, goodness. Um, oh my gosh. How do I choose? Um, you, I'm going to point you towards two of the icons, one who is still with us, another who unfortunately passed a few years ago. So Thich Nhat Hanh, I mean, he was probably one of the most prolific teachers of our time. I think he wrote 100 books in his lifetime. You really can't go wrong with anything that he writes. I know one that I found very effective for me, but that's only because I teach about confidence, is it's about power. He actually wrote a book about power. And then Pema Chodron, her book, When Things Fall Apart, was like an anchor for me when I was in it. Do you know what I mean? It sounds like you're out of it, but when I was in it, when things fall apart, I was like, oh. So,
Yeah.
and then I would say Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, and that's by Suzuki. His last name is Suzuki, and I'm blanking on his first name, but you can look it up. That's also a really great entry point.
All right. So I got Zen Mind, Beginner Mind. What was the one you mentioned just before that? The
Pema
power?
Chodron. When Things Fall Apart by Pema Chodron. Thank you, Kathy, for being here. Oh, Tara's saying the Tao of Pooh. Oh, that's a good one too.
Right on. Yeah, because like in my storm, I feel like as my world collapsed, I kept getting smaller and smaller to survive. You know, lost the wife, lost the home, start living in an apartment, start living in the basement, lost the money, start living without, start eating less, start buying stuff. And I feel like I've just been shrinking and shrinking to match my resources, basically. So it's a very interesting idea that the meditation you led us through about expanding.
Yeah, and that's your nervous system. So in a very, very quick nutshell, you think of your nervous system like a bucket, and every stress that comes in is filling it and filling it and filling it and filling it. And so what this means is then when it overflows, which is what happened for you, it's what happened for me, then you are basically living in your amygdala. You're living in fight or flight all the time.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that shrinking is an adaptive, protective response from your nervous system and your brain for survival. So that's why these tools are so amazing, because you can test to see, where am I ready, right? Where am I ready to slowly start integrating and slowly start saying, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And you do it at the rate of your nervous system, and then being able to come into that heart-brain coherence and starting to meditate on and integrate the fact that you actually can create anything after any loss, really stepping into post-traumatic growth, which is a real thing. Thank goodness, that you are bringing all of that together. So what happened was your nervous system protecting you.
Right on. Cool. Thank you so much. I could chat with you all day. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you.
Thank you, Jay. Excellent question.
NikolRogers.com.
Okay. NikolRogers.com.
It's on my other screen.
And if it's helpful, let me just pull it up real quick. Let me just put this in the chat. If anyone wants to stay in touch and you want to get on my email list, you can. And then also I'll tell you where I'm most active these days is honestly TikTok, believe it or not. It's like the last place of organic growth. And I'm Nikól Rogers 13 on TikTok. If you want to go over there, I've got all kinds of great tools. I am on Instagram as well. Please message me. Sorry, I'm trying to put this in. Rogers. Nikól Rogers. Nikol_Rogers on Instagram. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Nikol. This has been an absolute pleasure. And of course, we could just keep going.
I know.
Maybe we'll do it later, another time.
Well, I mean, if anyone had a question, I do have time. If somebody had another burning question, I don't know if you have to go, Ferocious, but if someone had a burning question, I'm more than happy to answer it.
Yeah, I can stick around for another 10 minutes if maybe. I know a lot of people have texted or that they needed to get to their next thing, but.
Okay. Was there anyone else that had a burning question that didn't ask it because you felt there wasn't time? Oh, you're welcome, Lisa. Thank you for being here.
I think sometimes these topics are even better when we feel like maybe there's a private exchange. So I have a feeling you'll be hearing from people more, maybe in that safer space than that.
Yeah.
Big forum.
And I'll put this in as well. If anybody wants to email Nikól Rogers at NikolRogers.com. If anyone does have a question that feels tender.
Oh, thank you so much. And as always, I just love being in your presence and learning from you and learning with you.
Thank you, Ferocious. Thank you for being the catalyst.
Thank you.
You're the best.
All right, beautiful ones. I will make sure that we get the video up and I'll make sure to share that link with you as well,
Okay.
Nikol. So thank you, everyone. I'm going to go ahead.
Thank you, everybody, for being here.